Hello and welcome to Paxton Road TV. This is the Paxton Road TV review show, reaction show for the game at Tottenham Hotspur versus MORECAMBE FC in the FA Cup third round. The score, Tottenham Hotspur 3, MORECAMBE FC 1. And yeah, positives, we're through to the next round. Hopefully we'll get the draw. Is it tomorrow or tonight? Is it sometime today? I think Sid was saying in the...
It's today, in the next 45 minutes or so.
So, okay, before we start the show, if you're watching live, please hit that like button if you can. Smash that like button for us. Helps us out massively in the channel. There's memberships available, super chats as well. If you want to get your comment read out on screen, send us your super chats in all the way through. All the details will be below. Any second now, as soon as I put this graphic up, which hopefully should be the one. Yeah, there we go. 3-1 Spurs. Okay, let's get on with it. Let's get on with it. Start with you, Sid. How would you rate that performance and result?
Right, listen, when you're at home in front of your home fans and your away fans are sitting, Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. That sums it up. MORECAMBE FC singing Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. That is just a disgrace. And I'm glad I didn't go today, to be fair. But from a few people that I've been today, they've said it was an absolute shambles. And I'm not just blaming the players, I'm blaming Conte as well. It was pathetic, absolutely pathetic. And then to start the second half with the same team, as if to say, go out and change it. You've just done nothing in 45 minutes. How are you going to change it? And then it took 3 players in last 10 minutes to come on to change their game. But it's shocking, mate. We are Tottenham Hotspur, and at home, when you're doing this kind of nonsense, I just hope some of them players today are not coming back ever again for Spurs. I'll tell you that now.
Okay, Mike, what comes to you next? What positives can you take from the match? And yeah, and the result, give you your overview of what you think the game was like today.
I would say it was a frustrating afternoon, to say the least. MORECAMBE didn't. They were just existing, wasn't they? They didn't really do anything. Tanganga was at fault for the. He gave the goal to them because he wasn't tight enough on that corner. It was an easy goal for anyone to hit. To tap home pretty much. He should have done better with that. But again, it's down to. And we've said it before, and I've said it before, even last season with Tanganga. It's those moments of lack of concentration with him that let him down. I mean, he didn't really have a. I'd say the first 35, 40 minutes, he looked very cagey. I mean, that doesn't help the rest of the back line in terms of you can't be breathing confidence or feeling confident if you've got a player that I think is shot to pieces. I think I just think his confidence is gone. But I mean, how many shots do we have in goal? I'm guessing probably touching 30.
We'll get to the stats. I think it was.
I'm guessing we probably didn't even make the keeper work in probably 26 of those shots. Ali and Hill didn't offer us. I don't think they didn't. They didn't offer us anything up top. Doherty, don't get me started on him. Session, he should have done better today, but he's only just come back from the injury. So I'm kind of giving. There's certain players that I'm willing to give a little bit of cut them a little bit of slack. Session is one of them, but. Winks, I thought Winks was probably, if you want to know, from the first 11 that started out, Winks is my positive for today. I thought he had a good game. I have been a critic of his previously, but this, he seems to, I can see why Conte feels he can rely on Winks, because when he has played, I feel Winks has been reliable and he has been performing. And I thought he played well today. He's the only one out of that first 11 that I'd say he played well. I thought Davis, you could probably chuck into that equation. I thought he was pretty solid, but yeah, it's an afternoon that you're just. I feel like I've wasted my afternoon watching that, but you're just glad it's over and done with, and you've got your 3 points, and we're not the laughing stock of the FA Cup third round or whatever it is. So it's done. Well, just got to move on.
It's a good job it wasn't 4 3 points today. It would have been, you know what I mean, quite like a team from their lower echelons to do what they did today. In the Premier League, if it was a team like, I don't know, Crystal Palace or someone like that, we would have probably not so much Crystal Palace. I guess you could put someone like Newcastle in there or whatever. We would have probably said that was not a very good performance. The fact for me that it was Morecambe, and as I think we just talked about off air, it's conceded 49 goals in League One to date. I know factually they don't play a 3-5-2 system. They played that today. They looked pretty much as good as us up until like 70 odd minutes, which doesn't bode well. Because if that manager is not even there and they can work on that in a week, because they would have had a game to play, and they've worked on a 3-5-2, knowing how we're going to play. Again, these players, it's the players today, but there was also some blame to be attached to Conte as well. But I'll come to you first, Sean, in terms of your thoughts, and then I guess we can look at the individual performances of some of the players, because, yeah, that could be interesting. What's your thoughts on the game today?
The first half was a hammer horror show, and the second half was a comedy. I can't believe the degeneration in players' confidence so quickly. Poor Tanganga was obviously destroyed by what happened to him on Wednesday, and I think I'm now saying that he's never going to be good enough for us, and he needs to go. Doherty, Delhi, Tang guy. Oh my God. For me, they need to be gone ASAP. Last chance saloon for paper tissue ankles, number 18, and last chance saloon for Rodon, perhaps. But no, not a lot emerged out of it. I think Harry Winks over the 90 was by far our best player. And, you know, the Winks naissance continues. That's my only positive today.
The Winks was the best player. I think he linked up well, tried to play forward as you would expect him to do at home against the level of opposition that we had. To me, there's a mentality problem at our club and with some of these players. It's not the first time. If it was the first time, we could understand it. We've seen it before. And again, if you want to be critical, maybe we could look at the NS more and say because it was an away performance, blah, 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 etc., etc. This wasn't. This is a home game. This is, in my opinion, it's worse. This is a home game against a League One team, as we've already talked about. They're getting battered in the League One. 49 goals conceded this season, struggling in League One, don't play a 3-5-2, come here, and they looked as good as us for quite a long period of time. Now, I know they're not going to come there and batter us in terms of possession-wise, but we wouldn't expect that because we don't go to certain teams and batter them with possession when we play away from home. We kind of play a very similar counter-attack type game, which they did. They played for set pieces. They did everything that I would expect from a League One team. Conte, I'm going to give Conte a B- today. How he can play inverted wingers and inverted fullbacks is beyond me today, because, you know, when it wasn't working in the first half, we then put Doherty to left fullback and Ryan Sessegnon to right wing back. And both the times when Ryan Sessegnon did try and go down the outside, he can't cross with his right foot. But why was he trying to go down the outside in the second half when he's on the left? On the right. It just didn't make any sense to me. So I'm going to give Conte a B- for that, because that should have been changed. You're right in what you're saying, Mike, about the upfront thing. Dele Alli and Gill. I thought Gill was busy. I thought Dele Alli was absolutely shocking. I can't put into any other words other than shocking. And it's not because of this one performance. It's because we've seen it before. We've seen it on a number of occasions, and these players are not strong enough mentally to play for Antonio Conte. It's as simple as that. You know, he demands so much. He would look at that today and say, yeah, we won the game. But these players cannot be trusted. Some of them cannot be trusted. And it's going to be this is not going to be solved in January if we're thinking that we can solve these issues in terms of getting these players mentally prepared for the rest of the season, because it's going to be a long season.
Thing is, though, if half these players, if the rumours are true, half these players are being looked at to get rid of, if there's clubs coming in with bids, whether it's a loan or whether it's a permanent deal, then mentally they're not going to be. Their thoughts are going to be elsewhere, aren't they? If you look at Rodon, Newcastle and Brighton are in for him, and there's a lot of talk about him going. If that's true, then why risk playing him if his head's elsewhere? Do you know what I mean? The same with.
I don't think his head was elsewhere. I think he was very rusty. I can see what
To
Sam
be
said.
fair,
His positional sense in the first half was terrible. But I think as the game got on, he grew into the position, and I thought he did. By the end of the game, he was fine for me. He's actually getting forward and putting the ball forward.
I do agree. I agree on the performance side of things.
I don't think his head's elsewhere. He just wants to play.
Yeah,
and that's the first time he's got to play again under Antonio Conte, other than that horrible Enes Mura thing.
I mean, on the road on, I think the only reason it looks like his positional play was all over the place is because Tanganga was just a bloody headless chicken. So where you're relying on your right back, well, not right back, but your right centre back to be positionally in place to deal with any threat that's coming through. Like there's a couple of times when the ball got tangled up under Tanganga's feet, he's got tackled, and Rodon, he's out of position because he's probably half expecting what has happened not to happen at all, and you wouldn't expect that. But I don't know. I thought Rodon, to be fair, like you say, Sean, as the game go on, I thought he was fine. There was no issues with him or Davis from my perspective. It's just you look at you go further forward. And you've got half those players who either don't want to be there, are not going to be there, or their future's up in the air. So it's just, I don't know.
Our whole right-hand side in the first half was dreadful. I said halfway through on the chat, why are you playing two inverted players in Lo Celso and Hill in the same place? It was madness, absolute bloody madness. And then to invert the bloody fullbacks in the second half, that's on Conte. That's on
100% on Conte. No, I think we looked at the team. I said, I'm going to give my when we put it up, I got the team right. Blah, blah, blah. I'm glad. I'm not glad I got the team right, because that team, again, in hindsight, is a wonderful thing. You look at seeing where these players are playing, and you would have thought that Winks, a midfield of Winks at the base of it, and Lo Celso and Ndombele in front would have been a good solution. Again, they played invertedly. You had Lo Celso on the right-hand side, and you had Ndombele on the left-hand side. What all that did what we saw for most of that game. It just meant everybody kept coming inside. Every single player was trying to play through the middle. I was screaming out, hundreds, just play wide. If you pull that team out wide, you're going to create 1v1s. We're better than them at 1v1s. If you then create overloads, then they're going to be bypassed down that side. And you can then try to, either drive to the line and then cut the ball back, or drive into the box for a shot, neither of which we did very well. When we inverted the fullbacks in the second half, you had Doherty shooting on the right foot and ballooning it. So the shot quality, and it's what you were saying, we took a lot of shots today, but I don't remember their keeper being worked, apart from that Dele Alli flick that he had to tip over. Do you remember him making worldy saves? Because I don't.
That's what I'm saying. There's 30-odd shots probably, and
but we done that the other day as well, didn't we? And I said the same thing. Did we actually test the keeper? You can have as many shots as you want on goal. If you're not going to work the keeper, I mean, remember, this is Morecambe from the League One. And that team that was put out today, if you can't get up for a team like the likes of Morecambe, not test the keeper, or win every single battle and win that game comfortably, then you got a problem. And we've all known
that goalkeeper arrived on Monday.
I know he did.
Their centre-back arrived on Monday.
I know.
They've been in place for a few days. And they've also made us look like rank amateurs.
Absolutely. And
rank amateurs.
That's painful.
Whoever does the research on tactics and goes to watch other teams needs to be sacked. How can you not know a team that scored 4 goals last weekend from set pieces and you go and concede a set piece? Are you not doing your homework? Are you not sat there? Is your tactician man not looking at a team and looking at their
That's
strengths?
Antonio's brother, by the way.
Well,
I don't think that's the issue there. I think that's Tanganga. You look at the goal, how it's conceded. It's Tanganga not getting close enough to his man. So you could drill the set piece, how to defend a set piece, sort of week long for a month long. But if you've got someone that's just switching off on that moment of lack of concentration, which is what Tanganga had, it doesn't matter how much you practice it in the training pitch. If you're not going to concentrate and if your levels aren't to that required sort of level in 90 minutes, then it doesn't matter. You're going to concede, and that's what happened. Tanganga switched. He was about a yard off him. Any of us in here could have scored that if Tanganga's given us that much space.
You're right. What you're saying is completely right. You can do all the training in midweek. You can do all that and work on your set pieces. If somebody F's up, they F up, and you got the way that goal went in. Tanganga was absolutely awful. It wasn't like the guy bullied him. All he did was make 1 yard movement and made a movement the other way,
and had a free shot from 5 yards.
That's absolutely criminal defense. I don't care what level of football that's at. If I saw that on a Sunday, I would be fuming with my team. And I'm talking about if you just woke up at 5 a.m. and went to play football at 9 a.m., I would be fuming, because that is just all you've got to do is you grip your player up. Nobody's going to get fouls in the box. Nobody gives them sort of things. So you can be a little bit subtle. He touched the guy. The guy made one movement forward. He wasn't like he was like, I'm going to try and go the blind side of him. He was right in front of him. Now, that's unforgivable. So when that happens, I can understand why some of these defenders are a little bit suspect. Joe Rodon probably thought to himself, I've got to compensate. But his position as the centre defender, at times, chasing into midfield after players. Now, I know they're playing a 3-5-2, but we've got 3 in midfield, And also, if you're the centre person...
But did we? Normally, we had 3 in midfield.
Oh, yeah, that's another story again. But we'll go through all the players. But then, just go back to the Joe Rodon thing. If you are going to do that thing and you're going to come out and to tackle players in midfield, you're going to leave a massive gap. And Tanganga was all over the place. Ben Davies had to compensate as well. We've seen this before. We saw this when Sanchez was doing the same thing. And, we had, I can't remember who was playing in that centre position, and they had to keep coming out and compensate.
Probably
You need communication. You have to talk. You have to talk to players.
I mean,
oi, get back here. Let them others do all that, because you can defend it. They've still got to get past you to score. So you can chase players, but when you leave spaces, they always say, "Where's the space on the pitch?" That's the first thing you do when you're trying to find the space. So when you're attacking, where's the space? So if you leave a space, what's going to happen? They're just going to play into the space. It's terrible. It's terrible. Yeah, sorry, I'm just lost on how we can do that.
The thing with that, though, I mean, most of the time that Rodon did venture into the midfield, he did tend to win the ball. But like you say, and you could probably get away with it against the opposition today. Against the Premier League, you won't get away with that. But then it's one of them, isn't it? Is he going to play in the Premier League game anytime soon? Probably not. Well, but
if he's Dyer's understudy, we should be worried. And I'm not saying that because I thought he played absolutely dreadfully. He didn't. He was all right in what you said. He got better second half as you would expect it, as they got more tired and they're having to sit back. They're not pressing as much. So you'd expect the defenders to look better and get better if that's their tactic, because that's clearly their tactic in the second half. They were just waiting for an opportunity. So the defenders are going to look much better.
Tanganga didn't.
Oh, he was special case today. Unfortunately, Tanganga has.
I really feel for him today.
Special mention today.
Wednesday night is going through his head like nobody's business, and he's done.
Sid, do you think players should be nervous in a home game against Morecambe? Should we have players that are that nervous that they can't perform against? This is what my point is. I don't think we should.
You're professional footballers. You're playing in one of the best leagues in the world, right? You've signed for a Premiership player because they think you're good enough to play in the Premier League. How can you be nervous? I'm sorry, you cannot. Are they nervous picking up their wages every week? I bet they're not. I bet they're knocking on that door, checking that bank account as soon as
they should be bloody embarrassed.
That's what I'm saying. So no, not one player. The only ones that should be not nervous and that is the likes of Scarlets. The young players that are coming into the Prem, making their debuts. You've now got young kids making debuts are more confident than majority of the players we've got at Spurs, and these are solid professional footballers that have been playing their trade for how many years? Yet you got youngsters coming in like they're not nervous at all, taking the game by the scruff of the neck. We've got a few players, I think, because of what's been going on at Spurs, and we've got too many hangers on, as you would call them, players that are just big players, not disinterested, and more interested in whatever outside of football. They're influencing a lot of these youngsters, and that's causing that. You've got the likes of Kane, Mora, Skip, probably Winks, interested in playing. Lloris, You know what I mean? Week in, week out, giving it 100%. But then you've got that core of players that are not interested, don't give a shit, don't want. They just, oh, if I play, I'll go on the pitch. I don't give a shit. If I get booed, I don't get booed. I'm going to get picked again maybe a week or two after. If not, I'll just sit on the bench, take my money every week. This is now where Conte now needs to put his foot down and say, you know what? This is the last straw now. Get the hell out of my club. And if Levy has to take a hit on these players, then so be it. Because
but
I know he
Sid,
wants...
just one thing. There was probably, I don't know how many players you want to name, but for me, there was about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 players today that just weren't performing to a level. Realistically, we're not going to get rid of 6 players in January transfer window. So these players, some of them are going to be around. You can't then relegate all these players to the under 23. It's not going to happen. Well, our squad is not strong enough to be able to do that. So we have to find, Conte has to find a way to get these players to a level where they're motivated. Because I can accept bad performances in terms of your tactical side of things, your physical, maybe you've just come back. But what I can't accept is level of effort. There's a couple of times when I watched the ball get bypassed around GLC and he just walked. Ndombele, the same. He looked like he's like, oh God, I've got to have to chase back. I don't want to do that. Dele Alli, no pressing from the front. This is League One team. You put them under pressure like we did when Lucas Moura came on and put them under pressure. What happens? We score. What happens when they did the second goal for Kane? Or was it the third goal? So, yeah, it was the second or third goal. It came from pressure. Royal on that right-hand side put pressure on the guy with the ball in the corner, gets it into Kane. Kane, one-touch shot, finish. Lucas Moura did exactly the same thing. Bad touch from the defender onto his case, gets the ball, runs into an open space, scores a goal. Our first goal came from Winks for that free kick, which wasn't literally going to be a shot on target, but it was, and we scored from it. So the first goal, bit fortuitous. The second goals came from what you're supposed to do. Apply pressure to teams and players who are not that good. That's all I'm saying. They're not that good. We made them look quality at times. This is the stats. So we've got 79% possession to Morecambe's 21, 26 shots to their 8. 7 on target. Of those 7 on target, again, I'm not sure which ones were worldies from this guy. Exactly. I remember the tip over the bar from Dele Alli, like I said, and a couple other saves were quite comfortable. 2 on target for them, 9 corners to their 1. So from their 1 corner they scored from. Had they got any more, might have been a different case. 9 fouls to 6. Looking at those stats, it looks like it's a dominant performance. From the scoreline, it looks like it's a dominant performance. But stats can deceive, as I've said before. This wasn't a dominant performance. This was a lackluster performance from some players who shouldn't be playing for Spurs anymore. What do you think of Conte's performance, Mike, in terms of, his substitutions? Obviously, you got the substitutions right with Kane and Lucas, but what did you think overall with the way the tactics went in the game?
I don't think I struggle to put any blame on Conte because he's probably thinking whatever team he puts out should really do the job against this team. And when you look at it, they should do. I don't think anyone before the actual game sort of kicked off, I don't think anyone would have said and looked at that team and was like, oh, this is going to be an absolute dreadful performance. I think we all thought we're not expecting sort of a world-class performance, but you'd expect them to easily just get the job done and not have to use the likes of Kane, Moura, Emerson.
Skip came on as well.
Yeah, Skip. But I know we had this conversation off air, and I know some people blaming Conte for the way he set us up, but you could argue that even if we're using these inverted wingers or inverted fullbacks against its opposition, who were doing nothing against us, let's be honest, the performance or the possession we had was dominant. We did dominate the game from a possession perspective. We just didn't dominate the game from putting the ball in the back of the net and sort of complementing the amount of possession we had. But you'd expect that, as I say, that the team that he's put out, even if he's switching them over onto their weaker side, against this team who were just existing, you'd still expect them to do a job and put in half a decent performance. So I'm not putting any blame on Conte, because you'd think if he was in his position, you'd think that the same thing. They should be able to do a job against this level of opposition, who they didn't even look good, even when they had the ball. They were just there.
Yeah. I like Sean. Is it all on the players? Is it all on some players?
No, it's not all on the play. I'm sorry, Mike. Conte, I could see from 400 miles away up here that inverted wingers played into their hands. They were quite happy to let us have the ball in front of them and then just run into brick walls all the time. I mean, how he persevered with inverted fullbacks for that second half, I don't know. That's on Conte. Absolutely on Conte. We needed to get wide. It was clear we needed to move their back three about. We didn't do it. We didn't do it because our fullbacks were coming in on their weak foot and having to cut back.
But that
is madness. Absolute madness. And the inverted wingers in the first half, when we had the Celso and the Hill in the same 5 yards, both left-footed, but on the right-hand side of the field, meant we were as blunt as a... Oh, just...
We don't know what
take
Conte's...
me out of here.
We don't know but you don't know what Conte said to these lads. They might have been going against what he's saying. We're just surmising that. We're just surmising that they were just doing what they were doing.
Michael, we have to call it out. He picked the team. I could see it wasn't working. Sam could see it wasn't working. WhatsApp is full of with expletives. People wanting to know what the hell was this formation? Was it 3-5-2? Was it 3-4-3? It was a mess. It was a mess, and changing the fullbacks at halftime made the mess even worse. It took our three quality substitutions to win a game against a team in League One who've conceded 49 goals in their league this season. Shocking, and that is on Antonio as much as the players.
Sorry, go on, Mike. Go on.
I strongly disagree how we can hold Conte as accountable as what we are, because we're playing. Let's not
forget. Because he picks the team.
Yeah, but he's picked a team based on who we're playing against. You can't say to me Conte's put that team out and think, oh yeah, this team's going to struggle against Morecambe. Because you're talking about a team that's they're all international footballers. So he's probably thinking, well, this team's in League One. They've conceded a lot of goals. It shouldn't really matter because of the level of these players and the level that they're playing at. It shouldn't matter. They should still be able to do a job against these inferior. They are inferior players, but for me, we're getting a lot of interference here. I can't hear myself think.
Yeah, someone's got a bit of interference on their mic.
I can't hear myself talk or think.
Yeah. Sean, it's your one. If you just want to check your mic, it's a bit fruity in the background. Go on, Mike.
I've lost what I was going, the track of thought there, but yeah, I just think, just going back on the lineup, anyone would have thought that lineup, even if they're playing inverted, they should still be able to do a job against this team. And I think, as I say, I'm putting it more down on the players than Conte, unless you do hold him accountable and you think that he's played an absolute shocker and we put it down on him. But
what I would say
struggle to do, because it's down to the players to put a performance in. It's not down to Conte.
I'm not saying the players aren't accountable as well, but come on, inverted fullbacks when we needed to get wide. Who did that? That was Conte.
Yeah, Conte picks a team. Conte would never go out and say, team, don't play too well. You know what I mean? Try to make it difficult. He's not going to say that. But he doesn't. What you've got to do as a manager and a coach is try and help your players to do what's required in terms of your attacking and defending in the transition. So if you've got, as Sean was saying, you've got them players on that right-hand side who are always going to be coming in, and they've got a defensive system which is effectively a 5-3-2. And at times it was a 5-3-1-1. They want you to come inside. So if they want you to come inside, as a player, you've got to start to think, well, the manager's played me in this position, but I'm not getting any joy here. the mentality side of things should be that, right, let's try something different. Not to say they're going to go out and do exactly what he says and just start creating anarchy. But if something's not working and your manager hasn't changed it, as a player, you've got to take responsibility. I didn't see enough of that. There was no urgency in the front line to press. That's the one thing. You got to think these players are substandard, and I'll use that word, and it's not a word I should really use. These words are not as good as some of these players at Spurs, but some of them players of Spurs could probably not even get into that Morecambe team the way that they play today. That's one thing. But give them the best opportunity to perform to the best of the level, knowing the fact that some of them aren't confident, knowing some of the fact that some of them haven't played a lot of games. We're just making it more difficult for the players to actually perform to the best of their ability. So when they're all cutting inside and they're having shots that balloon over the bar, or they're just hitting defenders, it makes us think to ourselves, these players are shit. But some of them are not good enough, but they weren't helped by the players, the positions that some of them were played in my opinion.
We're still getting a lot of feedback, mate. I'm getting terrible feedback here at the moment. Wherever the background noise is it?
Sid, you might need to check your mic.
Whatever you've done there, mate.
I've just muted.
Oh, he's just have you just muted him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's better. Go on.
That is better.
Cool.
Whatever you've done there, mate, it's much better.
I turned my telly off, but it was on mute anyway.
I can't remember what I was going to say, Shane. No
worries. Let's. I think we should look at the individual performances. Let me get myself back on camera. Let me put the team back up. Let's go from the goalkeeper, Galini. What did people think of Galini's performance? Did he have much to do? Was anything on him with regards to the goal?
Nah. Well, no. It'd been harsh to. Nothing. It's harsh to criticise him for the goal, really.
I think I saw him make a good save first half, early on, to his left. But he didn't have very much to do.
It was only 2 shots on goal, wasn't it? And one of them went in, which you couldn't do anything about. And like you said, the other one in the first half, he got down, saved it well.
Yeah.
He didn't have it. He was just a bystander, wasn't
he? I thought his distribution was quite good.
I thought he was all right. He didn't have to do much. Like I said, I don't think he can't be at fault for the goal. And he faced one other shot, which they didn't score from. So obviously, I don't think he's got anything in that. Let's move on to Tanganga. Sid, Tanganga, when he made his debut, I think it was that game against Liverpool. I certainly thought this guy is a big game player. He's come into the team, not played before, and looks like he could deal with all the pressure and look like a real good player. I think he did the same thing against Manchester City. We've all said we don't think he's a natural centre-back because of his height. We don't know if he's a full-back because of, potentially his attacking prowess. So the next best position for him, might be right-sided centre-back. But he was awful. What's happened to him in the last few games? Is it just a case of confidence? He's too young to maybe get thrown into some of these things, given the fact that he performed really well in his debut and played really well against the top lights of City and stuff. What's happened, would you say?
Sorry, just to interrupt. We've got Brighton at home in the next round.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, we've got Brighton. So, for me, he had that that Liverpool game. He had a decent game. He made his debut, I think, and he had a good game. Since then, I don't think he's had the opportunity. And I think I'm in agreement with Darius, where I just don't think he's good enough to play for Tottenham. Whether you play him at right back, whether you play him at centre back, he is a liability. He's going to either cause the opponents to score a goal. He's going to make a mistake. He made a mistake in midweek. He's made a mistake today. Whether it's confidence, whether it's lack of game time, I just personally don't think he's good enough now. And I said it before as well that for me, he's not good enough to play for Spurs. He gets in the odd games, and there's always you're going to get a mistake. Before with Sanchez, we always said, he's going to make a mistake. He's going to miss. Tanganga seems to be that player now, and there's no positives to come out of it. I think the only best thing at the moment is AC Milan and Juventus are looking at him in exchange for either Kulusevski or Milan want him for cash. If I was Spurs, if I was PRTv, Conte, I'd be going to Juventus and saying, right, Tanganga, and how much do you want for Kulusevski? There you go. It's on the table first thing tomorrow morning. Because the more you play him, I think that no matter how good of a defender you are alongside him, them players are always looking over their shoulder because deep down, I think they're thinking this guy's going to make a mistake and I'm going to have to cover his tracks. And if you've got that kind of a player playing alongside you, we've got a problem. So for me, I don't want to see him play for Spurs, to be fair.
Didn't we say the same thing about Sanchez, though?
Yeah, but with Tanganga, I just can't see it. I can't see him being overturned.
He's only made mistakes in last game that he played, and well, you could say he had a bit of a shock of the day. But whenever he's played previously, he has always been defensively solid.
No, I disagree.
Well, you look at the game against Man City. He's one of the best players on the pitch.
Yeah, but like I said to you, Mike, that's
the best team in the country.
Yeah, but that's 1 or 2 odd games. We can't have him doing just picking and choosing what games he's going to play against.
That's not him picking and choosing what games he can play. He can only. It's difficult. I think we're being a bit harsh on Tanganga. I know he's had a mare the last couple of games, but he's still young. He makes less mistakes than Sanchez, and I think he's a confidence player.
Would you have had Sanchez in the team today, given the performance of? Because what Sanchez can't play centre and he can't play left-sided centre back. That's clear. So he's only got one position himself. He's only got the right-sided, in my opinion. Again, Ben Davies again. You're probably going to look at him as being a left-sided player. You wouldn't play him as that central defender. So we are limited in how we can structure the team. Tanganga again has got to play that position. The problem I've got with him is that he's neither one or the other now. He's not good enough going forward, and if more defensive mistakes are creeping into his game, for me that's come down to mentality, because I think he's a talent, but if you're a talented player you should be able to deal with a one-off. I thought it might have been a 1 or 2 games that he's not played. He hasn't played well in the last few games I've seen him perform, not played well. So that can only come down to mentality of how he thinks his game is. That's the problem I've got with him, not because I don't think he can perform at the level, but to perform consistently, you shouldn't be making the same mistakes as you did today as I've seen before. This is an opportunity to make yourself look a lot better than you do because of the fact that you're not going to be under as much pressure, or shouldn't be. So when you have to do the very basic stuff, which is defend, and you don't do that well, and we know he's not great at attack, I don't think he's got much room to go. And again, it's that problem for us is defensively, because if we lose Dyer and we don't have Romero come back in, let's say we lost Ben Davies on that left-hand side, what are we going to do? Play Tanganga on that left? Play Sanchez on that left? It's a whole lot of stuff that's got to be
if you're low on confidence, though, the only way to get out of it is to play your way out of it, isn't it? I mean, you can't do anything other than play your way out of it. But if he's not consistently getting that game time to play his way out of low confidence, then it's kind of a difficult situation for him, because he isn't going to play at the weekend. Whoever I can't think who.
Arsenal.
As Arsenal, he's not going to play in the derby, is he? Let's be honest. So then he's probably not going to play in the Chelsea game. So the games that we've got coming up, the only time he's going to probably play is if any injuries come in. So you might not see a game until perhaps later in the month, maybe February. So it's difficult to play your way out of it's difficult to play your way out of like if you're in bad confidence, it's difficult to play your way out of it if you're not getting consecutive games to allow yourself to get out of that. But
there's 2 things that can happen with low confidence. You can either play through it, like what you're trying to do with him, or you try and play him through it and he keeps on making the mistakes, and then it goes even worse. So it's a very fine balance that you've got to strike, particularly with defenders, because your last line of defense. So if you make a mistake, it usually costs you a shot, a goal, or a goal. If you're up front and you make a mistake, you still got to go through the midfield and all the rest of it. That's my problem. We can't allow defenders to be constantly learning on the job, making mistakes to get the confidence back, because it's going to cost us. We've seen that with Sanchez. We've seen that he's still makes mistakes, but because of the position that he plays, he's got a little bit of leeway to maybe get away with it. If he's playing as a 2, he's never going to get. Can you see Tanganga? Imagine Tanganga and Sanchez as a 2 in defense. Can you imagine that? that is carnage waiting to happen because they're both just not confident enough to lead each other through games. And that's my issue with the back line. Without Dyer there, we're problematic. We really are.
The thing is, you can't get rid of him and bring in a forward or an attacking player because then you're leaving yourself even less defensive options to turn to if and when needed. So if you're going to get rid of him, which I don't think we will, I don't think it's a priority, but if we were to get rid of him, you'd have to bring another centre back in.
Well, you said that we needed a centre back when you talked 100%. About him. That was the one position you said that we needed.
And I still maintain that a centre back.
Today was the first time I agreed with Darius on his assessment of Tanganga. That goal was shocking.
Yeah,
that was League One defending.
It wasn't even League One defending because
that wasn't Premier League defending.
They deal with set pieces well. That's one thing you can say about low level teams because they know that's an opportunity to score. So they usually deal with crosses well because that's effectively a lot of the game. You know, balls pumped up, balls from wide areas, central defenders, just big burly having to deal. That's what their bread and butter is. But for us not to be able to deal with one corner, don't forget they had 2 corners in the game and they scored from 1. Yeah. That to me is really not a good thing because the first corner they had, they scored from it, and the way they scored from it wasn't like it was a tiring header or somebody, but it was just a very simple 1 yard move to the left. I'll move back to the right. I'm now going to just strike it goal.
Well, that's not a mistake though, is it? That's just lack of concentration from Tanganga, which is completely unforgivable, really.
So that's
you say tomato, I say tomato.
That's what I'm saying about. That has got to be a mental error in his because, okay, what do you want from your defenders when they're in the box? So you either mark
he's got to switch on, or just not switch
zonal.
On.
If it was zonal, I could understand. It wasn't the zonal. It's man marking. So when you're man marking, what do they say? Keep tight, get close. Don't make him easy. Don't make him get a free shot at goal. Whatever you need to do if you're man marking, get close. Do the tight things. Zonal's different matter. That wasn't zonal today. That error comes from a real lack of concentration or ability. One of the two.
Lack of concentration.
That's your one job, isn't it? At a corner, mark your man. That's it. And he's failed to do that. Simple as.
But then you could argue the same, like in the West Ham game. Was it early in the season when we lost? Was it 1-0? And Antonio scores, and he's flicked his leg out, and you could argue like the same sort of thing with Kane. Lack of concentration, isn't it?
No, but Kane, this is different, man. This is balls coming.
Yeah, this is more cut. Yeah, obviously this is a bigger mistake. It's more obvious the mistake. It's just complete lack of concentration. He's nowhere near close enough to deal with at least putting a block in. Even if he was tight and the other players just bullied him and got his shot away, you be tight and block it. But he wasn't even close enough to block, was he? But that's what happens though. When you're low in confidence, nothing goes your way. You don't concentrate. You're worrying about your performance. You're worrying about everything else around you rather than your own game. And as soon as that gets into your head, you're in trouble.
So is it down to the manager to keep him playing, or should he have taken him out of the firing line based on the fact that he hasn't played well in the last few games I've seen him play? I don't, like I said, I said to play him. I wanted him to play today because of that same fact. You want to try and get these players' confidence back. You want to try and there's no better opportunity than against a lower league opposition. When you hope you won't have to do much defending, but the defending that you do have to do, you do well. This is the problem. He only had to do one corner and he didn't do it. Let's say that was Manchester City. Let's say that was Liverpool. Let's say that was any team in the Premier League who would have had more than 2 corners against us. Are we confident that these players in those positions are able to do it? I'm not.
Not at this precise moment in time. But then you're not going to play
if we were playing Burnley. If we were playing Burnley with all those giants that they've got, I would struggle to say that I'd be happy with Tanganga.
Problem is, I think Conte's got his.
It's a shame.
I think the problem is Conte's got his preferred 3 centre backs. He's now trying to work a way where he's thinking, I can't play these week in, week out because at some point they're going to need a rest. So today, prime example, you're playing Morecambe from League One in the FA Cup. Let me rest Sanchez. I won't bring Dyer in yet. I'll keep him for Wednesday. Who have I got? Okay, I'll bring on Roden because everyone's crying about bringing him, playing him or whatever. So I'll play him and I'll play Tanganga. So he's played them. Rodon looked a bit rusty. Tanganga was the cause of the goal. So he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. But on the flip side, if you're a Premiership player, then you should. I know what you're saying, Mike. It's rustiness and you need confidence and whatever. But he's got to play him at some point. And if we're going to play him against big guns, they're going to make mistakes after mistakes. If they make the first mistake in 10 minutes, then for 80 minutes, we're going to be thinking, shit, are these going to carry on? Is it going to get any worse?
That's why you just got to be selective, though, isn't it? You can't play him against Chelsea and Arsenal because it's just lamb to the slaughter. But you'd have to just choose a game against who we got, Brighton or whoever it is lower in the second half. Lower in the bottom half of the table. You just have to get his confidence back in those games, which then you're having to hope that there's no injuries.
This is it
in this January period. So
this is a problem, isn't it? He's stuck in a dilemma, isn't he? Because he wants to try and get rid of some of them to get better defenders in, but unfortunately, because of who we own by and our chairman, it's a bit of a struggle. So he's left with what he's got, and he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. You know, if he has a great game today, Tanganga will be all saying, "Yeah, well done. He's done really well." Still, probably
if he has a great game, they don't score.
Yeah, but I think as well as that, if he'd had a great game today, it would have only been because I would have said, well, I expect him to play well because it's Morecambe. And I wouldn't have expected him to have a great game because if he had a great game, he would have had to been defending, knocking balls out of the air, because they would have been attacking us. So to have a great game for me in defence today isn't a good thing. But to have a bad performance off a set piece, just the one set piece, is even more worrying going forward because I want our defenders to be comfortable. Any ball that gets thrown in, we can deal. We've got 3 central defenders. That's what you would hope if a League One team who's going to be putting crosses in, who's going to be good at set pieces, you know that's what's going to come. You know that's what's... So Conte's had to play the players because I agree with you. He had to rest Dyer. He couldn't play Sanchez today because we're limited. We don't know what Romero's situation is going to be. So you have to trust some of these players. As I said, I struggle to see how we can trust that back three. Davis was okay. But, you know, you like you said, if you've got players around you that are not confident or players around you that are just not at that same level, it's always going to be difficult. What did we think of the wing backs? Sean, Doherty and Sessegnon, how do you think they performed today?
I thought Sessegnon was bright early on in the game in the first half, but just became completely ineffectual once they switched him to the right-hand side. I just thought he was like a fish out of water. Doherty, well, he's been such a disappointment since he's arrived. We just desperately need to get rid and upgrade in that position. I mean, the thing is, you look at Royal, came on for 5 minutes, hustled the defender and created the goal for Kane. That's what I want from my right wing back.
I want my right wing back to be able to beat a man and cross the ball.
I want my right wing back to be an actual footballer.
Yeah.
He's not a Premier League.
Sessegnon's a footballer. Come on.
I'm not on about Sess.
Yeah.
I'm on about Doherty. Doherty.
Yeah. There's no excuse. Doherty is just not good enough.
He's
done.
Attack.
You know.
He's done. Get rid of it. I'm not a massive Adama Traore fan, but I would be happy if we do a player plus cash deal and bring in him. I'll take it, and I'd hope that we can do something.
To do what?
Play a right back.
Not a right back, just to be on the right flank. Whether it's right wing back, if Conte thinks he can convert him into a right wing back, do you know what? I'll take it. I think whatever we have is better than Doherty. That's a fact. Doherty, I'd play you, Sid. I'd play you on the right flank, and I'd get more out of you.
I'm a goalkeeper.
Well, that's that stuff then. But Doherty, he's just.
Yeah, I know. I hear what you're saying.
Every time I see his name on the team sheet, I kind of just want to switch the TV off because I know what you're going to get out of him. He didn't put one ball in the box. He didn't do anything. He didn't even run it. Did he actually even get into our box today? I don't know.
He hit the post.
Let's look at this comment. Look at this comment here. So this is from Tommy. I don't get swapping the wing backs. It was a mistake. But how many more managers are we going to blame? We can't. I'm not blaming Conte per se overall for what he's doing.
No, it's just on today.
Yeah, I'll just say on today. And again, going back to the
got it wrong
with the Doherty on the left hand side. It's not working for me. Doherty can't play on the right. So how the hell is he going to play better on the left? That doesn't make any logical sense in any world that I'm living in. Any world, any time, any day. It doesn't make logical sense. If Doherty cannot play on the right and he can't beat his man to cross, how the fuck is he going to do it on the left-hand side, beat a man to cross?
Just don't put him on the pitch. Simple, isn't it?
It's a tactical ploy. It's a tactical ploy by Conte. He wants players in.
I think so. I think personally, an elite manager doesn't continually make the same mistakes over and over again. We've seen Doherty on the left a couple of times now, and he's persisted with it. So I want to know why. If there's a plan in it, I want to know what that plan is. That's what I want the reporters and journalists to ask him today. What plan do you have in mind when you play inverted wing backs, when your wing backs can't cross anyway? What plan? Is it for them to come in and shoot? Okay, I understand why they would want to come and shoot.
Which Doherty actually did do that, didn't he?
Yeah.
He did actually come in and had a shot.
Landed in my old season ticket seat.
Listen, right, I nearly saw that ball come past my window. That almost come past my window, and I'm in Nottingham. 5-3-2. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what a team wants you to do. If I'm setting up my team and I know that their wingers or their wide players cannot cross and they want to come inside, happy days. I'll deal with that. Because that's exactly, there were so many players in that middle, just kept screaming, get it wide, create 1v1s, create overloads. Never happened until we brought on the big guns. And at least that way we saw, okay, we're not as, I then thought, oh, we're not as bad as I thought we were now. But come on now, these players, man. They've got
who are you picking out in the box, though?
Well,
Get
the team sheet back up, Sam.
Yeah, I'm going to do that because this is Mike's made a very good point.
If you're wing back, who are you looking for? All right, I'm going to pick out Hill. He's going to win me a header. He can't see beyond his fringe. How is he going to see the ball coming to his head?
Mike, Hill's been told not to head the ball because it's not good for his head. Yeah.
When was the last time?
Can't see past his dreads, so you're fighting a losing battle straight away. Because
when was the last time? Yeah, sorry, Mike. When was the last time you saw Dele powering a header from across? When was the last time you saw Ndombele dive into the box, win a header, not one in? None of these players in this area of the pitch, I don't believe can head a ball consistently well to score goals.
The ball hits the head.
Dele used to.
So, but you're missing the point. That's why he played Doherty and Sessegnon, because the ball ain't gonna come in the air. Because neither of them can cross.
That's why he's played Dele and Hill up front, because because we're not going to get any balls in the box. So why?
That's it.
I feel like crying.
That's exactly what it is. He's put those on the wings and he's put those two up top because the wing backs and the strikers are going to complement each other. You're not going to get a ball in the box, and those strikers are not going to head a ball in the box. It's just not going to happen. Unless the ball hits their head.
To be fair, though, if we haven't got good headers of the ball, then the balls need to go in low. But they need to find a player.
And they did a few times.
I think Sessegnon did that early in the first half, but after that, he didn't. He was not helped by the fact that he was with the inverted Tanguy Ndombele, who spent most of the time tripping over his own laces.
Let's talk about that elephant in the room, Ndombele.
Yes.
You can go off and start with this one because, as I said, I think we've all got a few things to say about him.
So, all I'm going to say is he's got to go. Mate, Gloria Gaynor, he's got to go, not turn around. And I'm sure there would have been a lot of fans outside the stadium giving him a lift. You know, when you score that goal and you go crowd surfing, I think that would have been ideal for him today because everybody would have shown him to the nearest tube station or whatever. If you can't up yourself, get geared up to play Morecambe League One. No offense to Morecambe, by the way. If you can't up yourself against NS Morecambe, you can't do nothing. Then you're just done. You're done. And then to walk off the pitch as if you're winning 4-0 when you're getting substituted, and your captain Harry Kane shouting at you to get off that pitch, he's done, mate. Honestly, he's finished. The sooner he leaves that club, Yeah, and you remember when Pierce and Southgate and all them lot missed the penalties and Pizza Hut came calling? Well, McDonald's better come calling for him now because they'll be loving him.
Sean, before I come back to Mike, talk to me about Ndombele. Let me have a quick little. I'm a massive, or should I say, I was a massive Ndombele fan, and I'm still a massive fan of his ability. His technical ability cannot be questioned. He doesn't go from a player that's got that ability to the player that hasn't got any ability in the space of time. What he doesn't have now, and it's clear to see, he doesn't have what it takes to be a top level Premier League high class elite performer at this level, because it takes more than ability. We know that. It takes commitment, it takes attitude, it takes, sometimes determination just to put yourself about. None of which he did today, because we all could have probably said, this is Ndombele's chance. He's playing against a League One team here, a team where that natural ability to get past the player, that's easy for him. He should be doing that all day long. I don't recall him beating any men today. I don't recall a moment where I was like getting off my seat, SM Dembele. I saw a player who just looks like, I don't want to play football for this club anymore. I'm happy to just stay here and get my 200 grand a week. And maybe, because I saw at the end, when the whistle went, there was players on the bench. He was sat just literally like this. Didn't get off he just literally sat down. It's a very small clip, but it told me everything I need to know about this guy. And as I said, I'm a massive, massive fan of his talent, but he cannot play for this club anymore. He's done. I don't know what your thoughts are, Sean, but I'm very, very disappointed in what I've seen from him. I'm a fan of his potential talent, but that's all it's ever been for us, his potential talent. He's just not good enough. He's just not, he thinks he should be playing for Barcelona, Real Madrid, that kind of team. Does he really feel that was a Real Madrid performance today? He's deluded. I'm wondering if he's had too much McDonald's and the additives have got to him, because he must have had the chicken nuggets.
Honestly, he's been done.
Must have.
I feel, given that we spent so much money with him, I want him to be a success. And I used to be, I said, those who wanted him gone, I said, but he'll be a success somewhere else. I don't think he'll be a success anywhere else.
No, I think he's done.
He could go and play beach football, and he still wouldn't be a success. Only in his head. He's done.
Even Ronald McDonald
would say no. He's done. I don't want to see Tanguy and Ndombele ever again. And all those apologists for him need to shut their mouths, because today is a game he should be walking it. He should be walking those sorts of games. That was another NS Mura. He was worse today than NS Mura.
He was worse. I was one of them apologies, Sean. I don't mind admitting it. We did a show on him sometime back to try and compare him to Thomas Partey, and I was giving some of them Arsenal army lot grief about this player, saying, we've got this player and he's doing. Since that point, he's just gone down and down and down. Now, a player has to be motivated. Like I said, I've got no problem in any player not having a good game. I've got no problem in any player having 2 or 3 bad games. But when I don't see a level of effort when you're playing for a manager who that's his first thing, all he wants mainly, obviously he wants quality, but his first thing is, I demand the same level of effort from every single player every time you get out to the pitch, because that's the way Conte played, that's the way he's managed. What did we see?
He walked onto that pitch today with an endorsement by Conte in the last press conference. So Conte was saying he showed commitment in training. Well, training's nothing.
Sean, and the worst thing is, the fans showed their disgust.
Let's not even use any other words.
No.
It was disgust.
And that's the first time.
The level of booing I heard today, I was very surprised, because
I think it was aimed at him as well. I don't think it was aimed at Delhi, fair enough, or at Hill.
That was really a big turning point for me.
Yeah, that is massive. If your own fans at home have done that to you, that means they've had enough of you. That's it. They've had enough of you. And to be fair, majority of the fans today are probably fans that can't get to the Premier League games, and their only time they can get to games is FA Cup or the Carabao Cup. And if they're coming in and they've done that to a player, then that's it. He's finished for me.
Mike, I said, I think both me and you have lauded up. We both defended, and I said, I'm trying to find a way to defend. Oh yes, sorry, Sean. We've probably all done it.
Me too. I've defended him, but not since Mura.
I'm still trying to find this, because after the Mura thing, I thought, right, that's definitely in his head. He don't want to play against Mura. I can understand, maybe, but I don't understand, because it's a level of professionalism that should be there, which wasn't. But today was, for me, even worse, and it was compounded by his attitude when he was coming off the pitch. You know, you see some players don't have a good game, but they'll at least try and look like, right, I'm going to run off the pitch, make sure that people at least think, right, I'm not playing well, but I'm going to help my team out by looking like I want this out. He just walked off, was pulling off these gloves, and players were trying to usher him off the pitch. Kane was shouting at him. What is it that's so drastically gone wrong with him now? Right, I'm just going to have to ask you firstly.
I don't think anyone knows, do they? We're just surmising. That's all we can do, is just surmise. But thing is, what frustrates me is he has got talent. He's absolutely talented, but he's for whatever reason, it's just not happening, is it? Whether he doesn't want to be at the club, whether I just don't. I honestly don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't for 1 minute think that it's talent. He hasn't got the talent, because I think he's got all the talent in the world, but he hasn't got that mentality to sort of, I suppose, make the performances or put in the performances that sort of, I use the word, complement his talent. I don't know. It's frustrating, because it could be such a big player for us, but it's just not happening for him. And if he doesn't, I think what needs to happen is he needs to sit down and actually have an honest conversation with Conte. Do you want to be here, or do you not? If you don't, right, let's go and look for a club for you to go and move on to. If he wants to be here, then he's just got to. Yeah, it's all very well showing it on the training pitch, but start showing it in the games. And then that's the only way you're going to win the fans round. If you put in that's like Winks. Winks was getting hammered, wasn't he? Week in, week out. Same as Sanchez. We were hammering him week in, week out under Jose. But to be fair to both of them, Sanchez is having a decent season this year.
Well, just on that point about Winks and Sanchez, what I will say about both them players, even when they weren't playing very well, they at least looked like they were trying. I know Sanchez looked like Bambi on ice at times, and Winks looked like he couldn't pass a football 5 yards. But at least they were making a level of effort to show, right, I'm not playing well, I know that, but I'm showing you at least I'm trying for the team.
But it might be that mentally it might be the fact that they can mentally sort of take the hammering that they were getting on the pitch and stuff from the fans and whatnot. And it might be that Tanguy hasn't got that mental toughness that you sometimes might need in the Premier League to sort of just get over it and play it again. I use the word play your way out of a bad sort of, if it's a confidence crisis, if it's a mental issue that he's had, you've just, I don't know.
See,
he's either got to pay his way out of it and come good, or just go. Just do yourself a favour. Get your career back on track and get a move away.
This thing that everyone keeps going on about it absolutely mystifies me. Talent. He's got talent. What talent has he got that we've actually seen? In 2 years at Spurs, I've not seen any bit of talent from him in a game for more than a 2 minute. I think everyone's looking at his talent from when we signed him from Lyon and what he did there. At Spurs, he's not done nothing. So all these people that keep saying talent, we've never seen it. So how can someone say he's got talent when it's never ever been produced on the pitch for Spurs in 2 years?
I think
you saw what he done against Liverpool, didn't you?
Yeah, he's had.
Yeah, but you can't dine out on one pass.
No.
After 20 minutes later, he was blowing out of his arse.
I completely agree. I understand
what performance.
But if you, I think what we've done is, sorry, Mike, I'm going to let you. What we've done is we've compiled highlights. So when you watch a highlight reel of Ndombele, he looks weldy. He looks fantastic, but it's in moments. Consistently over a 90-minute period, yes, I agree completely. I've not seen him absolutely boss a game. I've not come off and said, you know what? He's the midfield general there. He's done every single thing right. He has moments. And some of those moments are fantastic quality. I think the goal he scored against Sheffield United, talent. Do you know what I mean? Very, very talented. Some of the skills he's done to get past players and beat a man and then make the threaded ball. The one that he did for Kane, which was in the game against, I can't remember who it was he played, and it was just down the side of him, round the side, and Kane, one touch, finished. That's talent. But you got to see that talent over a long period of time. And particularly
for 90 minutes.
100% agree. That's not what we've seen. So to Sid's point, yes, I've not seen that talent in terms of a 90-minute spell, but we're all looking at saying, this is the same thing about the Traore situation. We're looking at Conte now to bring Traore in to make him a better player. Sometimes players have to make themselves better.
We need the complete individual. We need a player to go straight in the first 11.
I agree. And that's why this Traore thing worries me, that we're going to bring in a player who we can already categorically see has the same sort of DNA as someone like Tanguy Ndombele. Great talent, no end product. Not done anything. Nobody else wants to buy him. Nobody else is coming in and said, Traore, Spurs are after him. Let's stop this. This Barcelona thing, that's bullshit anyway, because they're not going to buy him. They can't afford anybody. They can't even sign the players that they've got. So why are they going to buy Traore and bring him in? That's bullshit. So we're going to try and buy a player to convert that we've tried to get players to try and convert who just haven't converted. How long are we going to continue doing this shit? Buy players that are ready to come in and play. That's all I want to see. Traore thing, bollocks. Mike, sorry about that. Oh, no, Ndombele. Sorry, Mike.
That's all I've really got to say about Ndombele. You just got to work out what he wants to do. Does he want to be at the club? If he doesn't, like I say, then move on.
I think for me, go on, Mike, finish off.
I was just going to say
he holds all the cards, though. He's leeching £1 million a month out of us.
So how easy
leeching
is this player
£1 million out of us every month?
And let's get it real. And I've said there was a really good podcast, and I can't remember who.
Got a nice house in London.
And someone was saying, I can't remember what it was. They were basically saying, I think it was Dean Austin. He was on one of the podcasts recently. It might have been Chris Callan. And he was basically saying, if we think that there are players who care for badges and play for the club, there's very, very, very few. Mostly you'll come from the academy or team.
Those days are gone.
Those days are gone. Unless you come through the academy, you aren't going to be playing for the club. All this kissing of the badge and bollocks that you see players do that aren't part of the club is bollocks. If they're getting paid, Dean Austin said, that's the most thing. They want to know, how comes he's getting 200 grand and I'm only getting 150? I want to be getting some of that without having to do anything to get that. This is the situation we're now in. He's getting this money, as you said, £1 million a month. Why would you want to leave? Why? Who can force you to leave? No one can. They can force you to play with the under-23s, but no one can force you to leave. We've got a massive problem with this guy. I'm sorry to say, we've got a massive problem. Huge problem.
So we're just going to have to hope somewhere along the lines, this January window or in the summer, somebody just says to him, come. But exactly what you're saying, Sam. Somebody comes in with him to him and say, all right, we'll have you. No problem. But we're not going to pay you 50 grand a week. He's going to say, no way. I'm sitting on that 250 grand a week at Spurs and getting, people slagging me off and shouting at me. I don't care because I'm securing my future, my family's future. I'm not taking a 200 grand pay cut. And this is where I think football's gone wrong. There should be a cap, right? But it's never going to happen, unfortunately. But it is what it is. And I totally agree with you. There's a massive, massive problem with him, Delhi, even Lo Celso. We're going to have serious problems getting rid of these players on the wages that they're on.
Sean, let me ask. Mike, sorry, Mike. Do you remember in the Amazon documentary when we saw Ndombele have that meeting with Daniel Levy and they're trying to convince him to stay? He weren't happy, but he had his mates. He had Sissoko and he had Aurier. Them two players are gone. Do you think that's got something to do with some? It shouldn't do. I'm just asking the question. Do you think that's got something to do with his being unsettled? He's not quite happy, but happy enough to pick up 200 grand a week. What's your thoughts on it? I don't know.
I don't think Aurier and Sissoko, them going, that might sort of that might just be the icing on the cake for him. But if he doesn't want to be here, I think it's just the fact that he generally doesn't want to be here. I don't think it would have mattered if Aurier and Sissoko were still around. I think he would still be probably having the same issues as what he's having now in terms of his performance. I think his mentality is completely different to the likes of Kane, who, if we do go along the lines and believe where everything was in the media, etc., that he wanted to go, he hasn't got that same mentality as Kane has, to very like, right, even if I do still want to go, it's not going to happen. So I'm just going to knuckle down and try my best for the team and see what happens. And it wasn't, again, you could look at it as just may have been a bit of luck, a bit of fluke that he's got a top manager in Conte in, and maybe he started enjoying playing for Tottenham again. I don't know. I'm just surmising. But with Ndombele, he's one of those players. I just don't know what the answer is. I honestly don't know what the answer is. For me, as I've said, if he wants to go, just get him a club and get rid of him. We need players that want to play for the club. We need players that generally want to be there and want to help the club strive to be better than where we are at the moment. And if we haven't got those players on board, then we've just got to be cutthroat and get rid. We can't be carrying. I've said this before on the players that just seem to be spending a lot of time on the treatment table. It's the same with the players that don't want to be here. We can't be carrying these players anymore. If they don't want to be here, fine. Let's try and come to a solution and get you out of the club. And if we can get him in a player swap deal, then it's the best of the best of a bad situation. If we can get someone in that we do want and a deal could be struck, again, you've got to use a bit of imagination. But yeah, get rid of these players. If they don't want to be here, just go.
It's exasperating as when you just let out that sigh of air. That's how I feel. I just feel like I'm exhausted by what I'm watching. He's not the only one. No, he's not. He's not, and we can't. Like I said, there's always scapegoats.
Yeah, but it's the wages that he's on. It's the amount he's cost us.
60 million.
That's the thing.
200 grand a week till 2024. I think that's what his contract runs to. 2024. Again, if you're that player, what would you do?
Well,
what would you do?
The argument could be that he's already told the club he wants to go. So is the money such a big factor for him to, if he's wanting to leave, maybe he's not sort of sticking around because of the money. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's told the club
no one's going to pay him anywhere near what we're paying him.
But maybe he's not. Again, we're just surmising that he's just going to want to go to a club that's going to pay him the same wages. But if he likes the feel for another club, he might take it's the only way he's going to go, isn't it? If he wants to play football and he wants to leave the club, he's going to have to take a wage cut because no one's going to pay him those sort of wages. So he's already a multi-millionaire, isn't he? I mean, maybe I'm going on the basis that what I would do if I was in his situation, because I'm nowhere near as well off as what he is. But for me, 200 grand, I'd go and play football. We'd go and play football for 100 grand a week. I mean, Christ, he's a millionaire.
We would pay to wear the white shirt of Spurs.
This is the problem.
Would pay to work.
We're fans. We want to play Spurs. We want Spurs to do. We would I'd cut my right hand off. I wouldn't cut my right foot off because I couldn't play. But I'd cut my right hand off to play for Spurs. And they didn't have to pay me any money. Just to turn out to play in front of 60,000 people every other week would be a dream for many, many grassroots footballers. 100%. A dream. But when the problem I've got with Ndombele, and as I said, I was a massive, massive fan, is sometimes players get too much. They just get too much for very little. He did play some really decent games in the Champions League for Lyon against the Cities, and we've seen all that. Great. All right. That's it now. 60 million.
What did he do in League On week to week, though? We never saw that.
We never saw that. We didn't see that. And we've now invested that money and given him till 2024. I think that's when his contract runs out. It's certainly not next season.
This is where Paratici comes in, and he's a director of football. This is where he earns his cheddar, doesn't it? He's got if there's players that Conte wants gone, if there's players that he wants gone, and they've all come to a decision or an agreement as to who they want to keep, who they want to get rid of, Paratici needs to be earning his money in the transfer windows.
I hate to say this to you, Mike. I hate to say this to you. Paratici's record on getting rid of players is nowhere near as good as his acquisitions. Right. Historically, you can see what's happened at Juventus. They're stocked with players who are not playing, earning millions.
And I think where we,
but then you could argue
careful. Sorry, Mike. If we're not careful, because this thing about we all need to get players and we need to get players in, that's great, but we need to get players out. So this is why I think the January transfer window is going to be such a difficult one for us to see 3-4 players coming in. We ain't going to see more than 1 or 2, in my opinion, because we're not going to be able to get rid of players, even to go on loan. Why would you go on loan to a lower level team in your eyes just so you can play football? If you're earning the amount of money, it's not going to happen. He's not playing to play in the France squad. It's not like a Gareth Bale situation where he wanted to play for Wales. That's why he came to us. It's not like that with him. We've got one of the best stadiums, probably the best stadium in the world, and probably one of the best training facilities in the world. Every day you wake up and you're going to work, even if you don't like work, you like where you're going, you've got a nice plush seat. Oh, this is great. Oh, I like this. I can stay here. I don't play. You know what? Not that bothered. Am I getting grief off people on Twitter? I don't really care. 200 grand a week helps me out to think about that. This is the problem we've got. These players ain't going anywhere. I think that's Sean again with the thing.
June 2025, his contract expires.
2025?
Yes.
Thing is, though, I mean, we can get these players out. We got rid of 5, didn't we? I know one of them you could argue that we paid his contract up. But you look at Lamela. Who thought we could get Lamela out of this club? Yeah, Sevilla took him on, didn't they? So clubs will take these players, but as I say, it's down to the powers to be to sort of get.
You've got to cut your losses, Mike. You've got to cut your losses, and we know with Daniel Levy, he'll want every penny possible. If someone offers 10 million, 15 million, then you've just got to cut your losses and get rid.
Well, you might as well give them away for 10 million.
Well, yeah,
no. I'm just saying hypothetically, because Daniel Levy will want maximum pricing for him morning. There's no way if he pays 50 million, he'll want 50 million back. But you're not going to get that for him.
Who's paying 50 million?
This is what I'm saying.
Okay, we can do. We have to move on for this. Let's talk about Conte's performance today. What you think Conte is going to think of that today? One, give me what you think of Conte's performance, but then what you think Conte is going to think of that today. The result, all important, goes for the next round. But there must be some buts. I haven't seen his post-match interview. I don't think any of us have seen it. What do you think he's going to say in it? Sid, what's your first thoughts? What do you think Conte is going to be saying?
He's going to obviously say, with the injuries I've got, with the players that I needed to rest, we've gone away with a victory. We're through to the next round. It wasn't the best performances. Some of the players that I trusted and I wanted them to go out there and do a job haven't done a job in front of their home fans. I'll take the win. We're through to the next round, and I think he's just going to say we'll work on it in training. I know what players I want, but it's just a matter of he's going to try and put something in there indirectly, having a dig at Daniel Levy to say, listen, mate, you've seen it today. Are you going to back me or not? Because I need backing, and I'm doing my best with the players that I've got, even though I'm playing them in the wrong positions and whatever. I think he'll be happy.
I personally think that's got to be part of Conte. I don't know. I hate to think that an elite manager who I can't tell Conte what to do, but we all kind of saw that didn't seem right to me. So unless that's part of a plan, an overall plan, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. But sure, Conte's performance and what you think Conte is going to be saying to these players, or what he said to these players in a dressing room after. What's your thought?
I don't think Conte escapes completely scot-free. I think those inverted fullbacks deserves criticism. But I think he plays too many players inverted, and we just played into Morecambe's hands with the back three. We just kept walking into their stone wall. They kept us away, and it took quality in the end to win that game. Took quality from Mora or Kane, or and I really fear that the season's going to unravel. There's going to be a tailspin now, because I can't see us winning on Wednesday. I can't see us beating Brighton in the next round. And, Conte's already said it's difficult to win 3 points. So, I'm quite nervous, actually. Yeah, I think today has really, really confirmed things that have been in the background since Mora.
Yeah.
We've papered over the cracks. We've had some good, good performance. Well, good results in the Premier League, not necessarily good performances. I'm concerned.
Conte's probably I'd say in the top 5, definitely. Probably you could say the third best manager currently in world football, if you give his record over the last 5-6 years. So he's probably used to seeing and used to having the players with the right mentality. So what he does in press conferences, as we've seen, he can really go, these players are underperforming, Tottenham are not at the level, blah, blah, blah. And you would then hope that the players, if they're top level, I'm going to show Conte, what do you mean I'm not top level? I'll go out and put the effort in. He's done that several occasions now, and none of these players some of them have not then said to themselves, right, I'm going to at least perform a level of effort. Since that, was it the Liverpool game that we were kind of thinking about Dele Alli as being on the trail back? He ain't done F-all since then. Mike, what can Conte now say to these players? What can he say to these players? You tell me. What can he say?
I don't think there's anything he can say. I honestly, I struggle. I am starting. It's just a struggle, isn't it? Like, to come up with anything new that we haven't already said about some of these players. Dele Alli, you kind of want him to do well because of what he's done, like in past seasons, and we know he has got ability. You don't just lose ability. But it's again, it goes down. No, you don't lose ability. Not at his age anyway. At 25, 26. I mean, what I do think with Dele is it's the same situation as Ndombele. If he doesn't want to be here, then find another club. Let's find another club. Get rid. We can't be carrying these type of players if they don't want to be at the club. But unless these players come out and tell us exactly what they want to do and where their minds are, which they're never going to do, because if it's negative, it's just going to have a bad impact on the club. But unless we know what they want to do, we're never gonna know, and we're just going to carry on surmising as to where their heads at and stuff.
Well,
so
after the Conference League game, which we lost, and Winks was interviewed, he said exactly what he wanted to do. He says, "I love Tottenham. I want to play for Tottenham." And
he's showing it on the pitch.
And he's showing it on the pitch. Conte trusts him. Why hasn't Dele stepped up? Why hasn't Ndombele stepped up? Why is Lo Celso not stepping up?
And
it's just not good enough.
Lo Celso's been out for a long time, hasn't he? So I think we have to take him out of the equation slightly.
He's at the departure gate, Mike. He's at the departure gate.
No, I'm not on top of all these players.
No. Dele's boarded. They're just waiting for clearance from the tower.
Yeah. At least players like Harry Kane, who we was kind of, he deserved criticism for the early part of the season with all the Manchester City saga. He wasn't playing well, but Harry Kane has started to now turn that corner. And what I'm seeing from him is a level of effort. He's also putting things out on Twitter, as they do. Blah, blah, blah. We didn't perform well today. I want to perform. And saying things that's kind of thinking, well, at least he looks like he wants to be here. He wants to, as you quite rightly said, Harry Winks came out in the interview. I want to be a Spurs player. I want to play for this club. Conte's rewarded him. Conte said, this is the type of player I want. I don't think Conte's even... Yeah, Conte's not saying that Winks is the best player in the world.
No.
What Conte's saying is Winks has got the right attitude for what I want in my squad. He clearly has playing well. And he's playing well to boot. When he was asked about Ndombele, one of the things which made it so clear to me that this guy's not in his plans, he just said something like he's a midfielder. And then he moved on. He just moved on. That was it. He's a midfielder and moved on. Winks, he's right attitude. I want him to stay. Winks is going to be a Spurs player, blah, 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 blah. Loaded him up.
Yeah,
That's
the other
gotta be
thing
a
I
sign.
say about Conte, Sam, sorry to jump in, but it's caught my mind. I've never been the biggest fan of Mora. You know, Amsterdam aside, I don't think he's been it, but he's improved immensely under Conte. He's improved immensely under Conte, and I'm glad he's still around. And I wouldn't have said that 4
Took his
months
goal
ago.
well today as well.
Oh, very well, very well.
Do you know,
really well.
do you ever think about GLC, yeah, which is it's going to come to a shock to a lot of people. You know, your self-cert, you can have a 7-day one now. Now you can go up to 28 days. So he's sorted for 28 days now, isn't he, on the self-certificate? Don't need to go to the doctor. He but you know what?
Man.
How many more times are we just going to keep saying he's been injured, mate? Them free kicks today were poor. It's just, it's we're giving us Spurs fans, we're coming up with too many excuses, and we're just thinking of excuses to try and say some of these players are good enough to stay at the club.
We cannot blame the manager now, can we?
No.
We blame Nuno, we blame Jose, we blame Brian Mason. We cannot now blame Conte. We can't. It's impossible.
With Lo Celso, now he's fit, you're going to see. We'll see whether he's up for the job or not, won't we?
Yeah,
which he hasn't had the chance as of yet, to be fair.
Do you know what I saw about Lo Celso tonight? I might explain his Argentina form. When the better players came on, I thought he was better. But when he was playing with that ragtag first half team, he was dreadful. Absolutely dreadful.
Who shot him in that second half when he fell down in the middle of the pitch?
Oh man, he goes down after every tackle looking for a free kick. It is a bit alarming.
Oh God!
It was like bald-headed guy on the touchline, weren't it?
I reckon it might have been Christina. She was in the crowd, wasn't she? So she might have done that. She might have taken him out. Someone tried to take him out. Let me come round to all of you. Let's get your final thoughts. Start with you, Mike. Final thoughts on the result. Let's get the positives out of the way. We're in the next round of the FA Cup.
We're in the next round. We've got Brighton, haven't we?
Yes. At home.
Yeah, at home.
At home.
Yeah, at home, which is a massive
top team.
Positive for
we
us.
Play our top team.
Yeah. Well, we should beat Brighton. Well, we should have beat Morecambe easily.
No.
But when we play the better teams, we do generally under Conte, we have performed better. But we got the job done at the end of the day. We're through to the next round. Live to fight another day, innit? And hopefully we get some transfers in.
Let's end on a positive. It might be a bit of a gritted tea positive, but we're going to end on a positive note. Sid, we're through to the next round. We're playing Brighton. Can we still win the FA Cup?
We can win the FA Cup. Of course we can. We can win whatever way we've entered to win. But all I'm going to say is, as Morecambe and Wise said, both Conte and Harry Kane and Lucas Moura will be heading out of the doors with their heads behind the back, doing the backflip dancing, saying, "Bring me sunshine," as they walk out into the sunset.
That's a negative image for me.
Yeah, I'm so glad we won, because the Morecambe and Wise memes that we'd have got if we'd have lost today would have been horrendous. I would have had to definitely switch off my Twitter. But anyways, Sean, final thoughts on the game.
We're through to the fourth round. We've got a very tough team in the fourth round. We may get through that. Who knows? The highlight of my day was Jonathan Abika getting to come and play on the stadium that he grew up around as a boy, and he would get his chance to swap shirts with Harry Kane, his mate. That's about the only thing I can say is positive about today. And Mora's goal was worth it. Picking the guy's pocket. What class! Thank you, Lucas.
Are we all looking forward to Wednesday?
Obrigado.
I was going to say, we're all looking forward to Wednesday, are we?
I'm there, so I'm hoping.
Come on,
Wednesday.
I'm hoping.
Yeah,
bring it on.
You know what?
I'm now going to go full retard. Let's bring it on Wednesday. We can do this. We can do this. What else can you do? What else are you going to do? You got to stay with it now. I know that we ain't going to get 4 or 5 players in January. We might get 1 or 2. Are they going to be?
Can we just win the game even if we go out of the tie?
I've heard today.
That's what I'd like. Win 1-0, 2-1.
I don't know how true it is, but I've heard today that Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis have had their talk, and apparently Vlahovic and Kessie has been agreed to buy in January.
To come in.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I want some of what you're smoking, Sid.
No, that's what it is. But you know what?
Sid, I've got to get a towel out here.
It is what it is.
I've got to turn the heating down a bit.
I know. But
Jesus Christ.
you know what? Can you imagine?
Was you on the shot at the time?
No, that's what I've heard. But let's see if it is what it is. Let's see. But if it happens, wow. If it doesn't happen, then it's.
If that happens, then fair play.
Sid has sent his drones out.
Yeah, but
that's a statement of intent. If that does happen,
exactly.
So say it again, just so I didn't actually. Let me look in these earphones. I put them back in.
It's the whack.
We possibly could get Vlahovic and Kessie plus Adama Traore in this window.
No. Adama Traore is not happening. He played 68 minutes today. He didn't create. He didn't do nothing, and he got taken off. So he's not coming. Yeah, he's not coming. But the other two, you never know. You never know. Yeah.
Let me get a towel out again. I got water my brow.
If it happens, then we're gonna do a 6 days exclusive.
This will make up for this game. You know what? If that happens, Sid, I don't care about today's performance. I really couldn't care. It'll be the.
Hey, I want the championship. We get them too.
Sid,
we're gonna all City back.
Bless you, Sid. Sid, was the source eating? Or was Eric Morecambe?
From beyond the grave.
Listen, you never know.
Simon Stevens is saying Sam doing his best laughing clown impression. That was a knee slapper, Sid, because it was definitely.
But hey, I tell you one thing. Have you ever seen Sid being mentioned that many times in the comments?
I'm hot.
Yeah, but up until now, it was about your love of Dele Alli. Now they're thinking that you're not well.
I'm not in the comments at the moment. He's on it.
I'm not ITK. Please don't brand me with ITK. I'm not interested. I'm not ITK. I'm just Sid says.
Please contact Sid on Twitter. Don't contact him anywhere else. Contact him directly. Don't come through me. Don't go through Michael. Don't go through Sean. Contact him directly to find out what this source is.
And if it happens,
yeah, it's Heinz tomato sauce. And Conti's banned him.
Zen moment.
Actually, it's daddy's sauce.
Oh.
Right then, gentlemen. I think that's enough for the comedy at the end of the show. We've done well to get a laugh out of this show. We've done fucking well to get a laugh out of this show today.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. 100%. Mike, Sid, Sean, it's been a pleasure. We've got to stay with the team, and let's hopefully we'll get some transfers in, and then we can see if we can make some improvement. But I think it's time to go. Come on, you Spurs! Come on, you Spurs!
We'll top them till we die.